All right, everybody. Like I said, we've got a tremendous amount of information to cover here. Really, the goal is to give you a really good idea in and around kind of the Power App, some of the capabilities that it's going to be able to do. The same thing with Power Automate. So as you can see here, we're just going to do some brief speaker introductions. I'm going to give you kind of a high-level overview of Cambay Consulting, just so you understand why we're speaking with you today. Chinna and Keel are going to walk you through kind of the Power Apps session. We are going to give you guys a short break, grab some coffee, some lunch, use the restroom, all of those kinds of things that will be in there. And then we're really going to wrap out the day in and around kind of the Power Automate side of things. So that's kind of how we have the day laid out for you today. Next slide, Chinna. You can go to the next one. All right, so my name is Peter Harris. I'm the VP of Sales here at Cambay Consulting, coming to you with over 20 years experience in and amongst the Microsoft platform, really focused in and around kind of the business applications and Power Platform, which includes Power BI, Power Apps, and Power Automate. I think the folks we really want to hear from are kind of my esteemed colleagues that are here, Akil and Chinna. Obviously, as you can see, they got a tremendous amount of experience in and around the Microsoft platform as well. So we've really brought a tremendous amount of wealth and depth of knowledge for you guys today to kind of speak on these two topics, just so that we can kind of get everybody coordinated as to some voices and pictures and that kind of stuff. Akil, do you want to give everybody kind of a brief background and then pass it over to Chinna?
Absolutely. Thanks, Peter. My name is Akil Haider. I am a Office 365 MCM. I have been in the industry for about 20 plus years. I see a lot of familiar faces on the call, or at least I see names that I recognize. Been doing this for a long period of time, since before it was Office 365, been in the SharePoint space, and now on the Power Platform set of technologies as well from Microsoft, based out of our Seattle office. So just so everybody knows, that's where I'm located. Over to you, Chinna.
Thanks, Peter. Thanks, Akil. Hello, everyone. This is Srihari Chinna, and I'm an ITB, Technology B. I have around 25 years of experience in Microsoft stack alone. And I'm right now modern experience COE and Center of Excellence for SharePoint as well. So I lead the delivery for Cambay here right now. So I have a lot of experience around SharePoint migrations and Power Platform development and configuring teams and governance and everything around that I can help you all with your questions. Thank you.
Awesome. Appreciate it, guys. Chin, if you want to go to the next one for me. So briefly, just want to kind of give everybody a little bit of background in and around Cambay. Honestly, I could probably talk to you guys for 30 minutes, but I know that you really want to get to Akil and Chinna. So really want to keep this brief. As we look at it, Cambay Consulting is a strategic managed partner with Microsoft. You guys will be able to see kind of the certifications that we have across many of the platforms that are out there. What we also have is capabilities across the whole entire stack or the whole entire ecosystem. So not only just as we look at Power Platform, but we also have a tremendous depth of knowledge around Azure and all the components that go with that, Dynamics 365, as well as Microsoft 365 or Office 365 as it's been known in the past. Really what this allows us to do as an organization is it really allows us to focus on your business outcomes and what you're trying to achieve, and then really map those technologies back to you. So whether it's coming out of Azure or Power Apps, Power Platform, Cambay really has the right depth of folks and the right capabilities to match that together. So I always like to say is that we're not looking to put kind of the square peg in the round hole. We're looking to understand what your organization wants to do, rely on our experts like Chinna and Akil to make sure that we're developing the right solution in and around that. As a team, we have access to over 1,300 employees across the globe. So while we're focused here in North America today, we also have a team that is out of our global deployment center as well, and we can really leverage those resources as we feel best fit for you as the customer, whether it's project-based or looking at it from more of a staff augmentation standpoint, however you guys are looking to deploy out your Microsoft technologies, Cambay really has the team that can fit that model. So again, just wanted to give you guys a really high level background on our organization. We could definitely dig into a lot more, but I know that that Chinna and Akil have the good information going forward. So Chinna, if you want to go to the next slide. So right now I'm going to turn it over to my good friend Akil in Seattle and let him kind of run through the next few slides here. Akil?
Thank you, Peter. Appreciate that brief introduction. So for the audience that we have here today, I'm actually going to go through some high-level concepts, and then we're actually going to get into the workshop and talk and actually build a Power App as part of our workshop today. But before we can do that, I want to make sure that we introduce what PowerApps, what the Power Platform and PowerApps is all about. Basically, it's a no-code, low-code platform for building apps that similar concepts to what used to be in the old days around, Excel workbooks and things like that. If you have a simple business problem or even a complex business problem, if you have a situation where you need to collect data from your employees or from external vendors or from other entities and collect that and have a business process around it, Power Apps can be leveraged as a platform independent, which is very important to understand, tool that can actually help you move and deploy applications without having to have a depth of knowledge or a development level background. You can also modernize paper-based processes. You can actually leverage Power Apps and to systematically replace legacy-based systems where you might have in-house or internal or external business processes that you want to automate. If you want to have a secure and compliant system, it has over 250 different certifications and so forth, things like HIPAA compliant and so forth. So it can deliver and manage your content in a very, very, very secure manner. Next slide, please. It's, as I already mentioned, it's very simple. It does not require you to have a development background. It doesn't allow you have the ability to connect to multiple data sources, and I'll talk a little bit more about that, and we will actually see some of that here today. It does, and you can have the ability to work with data across your domain, across your entire enterprise, and you have the ability to work with it depending upon where you are located. So you don't necessarily need to get to, if you have data in external data sources or internal to your organization, Power Apps will allow you to collect that data, perform actions on that said data, and actually be able to report back on it or massage it or post it back to those external systems. Next slide, please. It's got a very simple WYSIWYG editor. You're going to see Chinna display this today. You have the ability to create app logic. As I already mentioned, it's very much like an Excel spreadsheet on the web. You have the ability to add actions, remove actions, build forms. You don't necessarily need to have a, as I mentioned already, a dev background. The IDE is very, very simple to use. It's what I would say is a very smart WYSIWYG editor that allows for a robust user experience to be built as and when you want. So the forms are easy to use. You have multiple types of apps that you can build. We're going to talk about Canvas apps today. There's also something called model-driven apps. We're not going to get that deep into it today, but all of those are managed and built through this easy authoring call and a WYSIWYG editor that you're going to see here later today. Next slide, please. As I mentioned earlier, you can connect to multiple data sources. This slide is a little bit dated. Now we actually have more than 275 different data sources that we can connect to, whether your content is in SharePoint, whether it is in on-premise systems or SaaS-based solutions like Salesforce. Or you have content in Dynamics, or you have content in external systems. The ability for PowerApps to have out-of-the-box connectors to bring that data into your application and surface it for end users, or perform actions on that based upon certain triggers and other things that you're going to see today, and then post that information back into those external systems is available without having to actually sit there and write those connectors yourself. This really makes it into a true enterprise product and allows you for connecting and pulling and being the bridge between multiple systems. So if you have a complex workflow that needs to talk to 3 different systems, you can actually build a Power App that can bring all that data into a singular location. You can perform actions on it and then deliver it to your end users. Next slide, please. Awesome. So perfect timing. We have just finished a very quick introduction to Power App and how and where the data is stored. I am now going to hand this over to Chinna for him to actually lead this discussion into a more hands-on lab / workshop, as you guys have been invited to do so. I will be on the chat session, so if you have questions, I will be happy to interject, jump in, and answer those as we go along. Over to you, Chinna.
Thanks, Akhil. Let me switch my laptop to browser mode here. Okay, can you all see my screen here? Okay, so today I'm going to show you a use case. Let's look at like a simple app. In any IT department, there will be a common requirement to develop apps like personal time off, travel time off, or simple workflows that can go across request and responses or information purposes. So in this demo, we are picking up personal time off application, so which will have SharePoint as a backend storage, and we'll develop a Power App to visualize the data based on the requester and based on the approver, and also we'll go through how easy to scaffold the whole application, Power App application, without even writing one line of code. And next part of it, we are going to develop a simple workflow. As soon as someone creates a request, how the approver or requester will get a information via email. So that is a use case that we are going to look around now. So SharePoint is being, data storage for Microsoft Office 365 lot of products. It's very easy to connect for any apps and store data there. It is available for any type of license, SharePoint. So this is the most common place where users are trying to develop their apps apart from content data services. So we picked up this example to show you how easy to develop Power App from the SharePoint itself. And I'll show you the steps here. So I have a site called Personal Time Off, the day app in a day site, and within that site I have a list where I'm saving all the data that is relevant to whoever is submitting a request for personal time off. So all we need to navigate to the SharePoint site and list. Within that list, you can see here link to Power App. you can create a Power App, or you can see all apps that you can access, or you can customize the same out-of-the-box SharePoint screen. I'll show you here quickly. So this is the SharePoint out-of-the-box screen. If you want to add an item or edit an item, this is how it looks. If you want to change this one, you can use this link here to customize it. So that will give you PowerApps look and feel in the SharePoint within SharePoint itself. Or if you want to access your SharePoint personal time off application or your mobile, or you're in your tab, or anywhere if you are not in front of your system. So this is where you need to create an app from the SharePoint, so that it's going to bring up all the screens, elements, everything that you see here, so that you can access your data, submit your data, and visualize your data completely. So it's a 100% no code. All you will see here, as soon as I click an app, it's going to scaffold all the screens, like the browsers, the dashboard screen, edit screen, and display screen automatically. So all you need to, yes.
Let me just jump in one quick point for everybody to understand. There are three aspects to building any application at any given moment in time. There is data storage, there is actions that can happen on that data, and then there is a UI component to it. The data storage that we are displaying to you today is going to be in a SharePoint list. It does not necessarily need to be a SharePoint list. It could be a SQL Server table. It could be anything else that users might have. But for the purposes of our demo today, as well as our lab, we are using SharePoint. If people have different data storage accesses and data stored in different areas, that can also be supported. I just want to make sure that everyone understands that this is not necessarily just tied to SharePoint. Thank you, Jen. I just wanted to clarify that.
Correct. I'll also show when we go into PowerApp. I'll also show how you can, from where you actually can connect to your any other systems. I'll show you that. So I'm going to name this app as PTO. So I already have an app already there, so I'm giving app in a day PTO. So all we need to do is click create. So I'll go through this. There are three different IDEs for PowerApps. I'll show you what exactly each IDE is about. That way, who can access what and what is the purpose of each at the high level. So at this point in time, the PowerApps automatically creating all the components or screens that require to save data and visualize data and to edit the data. Give us a minute here for this to complete.
So as I had just mentioned earlier, this is the IDE that is available in the cloud. That you don't necessarily need a full-blown any type of license for, as long as you have a Microsoft account registered, you will have access to in create.powerapps.com and the /studio environment. Sorry, Chin, I just want to make sure everyone understands how to get to the browser.
Sure. Thanks, Atul. Thanks for adding it. So here I'm going to, before dive into this one, I want to show the different screens, different URLs that PowerApps has. So this is the one you see, that create.powerapps.com studio. This is the designer where actually we can develop our PowerApps, and we also have the other IDE called make.powerapps.com. This is where you can see all apps that has been developed. And we have another browser, another URL that where we can browse it and look at it. That is purely for Office 365 admins and IT professionals, where they can see all environments that within Power Platform they have in their tenant, all other things like data policies and resources, analytical data usage, everything else you can see it here. So we can explain you as and when required. I'm not deep diving all these points now. Just I wanted to let you know there are three different URLs that is associated with the PowerApps. So when I go back here to our IDE, before even jumping into each of these parts, just wanted to bring you up to speed on this IDE, what it is and what exactly we can do here. So basically on the left side, if you see, this is where you can see all screens within the app that you have. And if you click here, this is where you can see what are the connections this app is already connected to. That is right now it is SharePoint. All other connectors that Akhil was talking about, we have quite a number of, tons of more than 270 connectors that can be connected to any of it. This is what Akhil was talking about. So some of them are premium, some of them are, every single connector we have. Otherwise, we also can develop our own customer and deploy to Power Platform and use for our purpose. At this point in time, this is what the connection that I made to SharePoint. When we do create a Power App from SharePoint, we don't need to worry about everything. It's going to bring up everything here. So next, I wanted to go over this IDE, what elements we have in here. So in any app, we might have multiple screens. So you can create as many screens you want, either from a blank or anything that is out of the box template available for your app purpose. So if someone is IT pros or professionals, if they want to develop their own, that's where they pick up their blank and go ahead and start using it. And otherwise, we can also apply out of the box themes to our apps. So let's say if I pick this one, you can see automatically it was changing here. So Microsoft did provide some kind of themes where no code experience users automatically they can switch their themes and apply some beautification around it. And also we have quite a number of the field elements, screen elements that you can add it to. So there are quite a number of input elements that you can use it, and we have complex grid items called edit forms and display forms and data grid as well for IT pros who can play around with these things. I'll show you about these two forms when it comes to discuss. Otherwise, we also have some media controls. You can use images, camera, barcode scanners, videos, and PDF viewers, and mixed reality components. And we can also have chat controls around this one, Power BI tiles. We can also connect Power BI and display into PowerApps. And we have some, PowerApps is around more about visualization. Instead of using more text, we can have a lot of icons. We can also have our own icons added to screens. I'll show you where it can be added and used in our apps. Otherwise, Microsoft did give most of the icons that can be used. And also, there are a lot of customization can be done. This is the new feature that Microsoft released 2 months ago. We can develop reusable components, code components that can be used across multiple PowerApps. And PowerApps, it's very useful. Basically, it's kind of reusable components that we traditionally talk about in any other .NET or Java platform. Otherwise, we have a gallery control here. This is the most commonly used dashboard screens. If you look at here, this is one of this for layout. We can customize this, or we can use any of out-of-the-box available templates here. So this is about the IDE and elements that is available here. So otherwise, if I go into this app itself, let me zoom it up a little bit. So this app, it comes up automatically with a name. This icon is about to refresh the data if you are not looking at latest data here. We can also have out of the box, filter the sorting order. You can sort based on either title or either based on your dates or anything that can be done, customized. And if you want to add a new item, if we can get into by clicking here, they will let you enter the new data here. As it is, let me run this and show you how it works, then come back and a little bit tweak it and show you how you can easily customize this. As soon as the PowerApps scaffold it automatically saves it. So I'm just running it since I did not change anything there. So I'm just running it here. So this is how it comes up with. This is the title. This is the start date, end date. So if you want to drill through this data, either you can click here or you can click here in this one, it will jump to the display screen. From here, either you can edit it, delete it. It will it comes up with everything that you don't need to write any code. Automatically it gets saves and everything. So before even doing some addition, insert or anything, let me go back and show you some things, few things that you can do. Let's say you are an user, you don't want to see all the requests that has been submitted or anything. So you will say, hey, when I log into this app, I want to see only my submissions. And if I have anything that as an approver, if I have to, as a manager or someone requested something that I need to look at it, so I want to see only those stuff, then it's very easy. So let me little bit tweak it and make it smaller so that we can tweak around this one. So this one I'm going to make it as my request. So here on the right side, you can see it. You can change the fonts. Lately, we had only few fonts. Microsoft keep adding more fonts here. So you can choose between font styles around here. And then coming to this control itself, the dashboard control, or this is called a gallery control technically. I'm just giving a border around this one. And now you can ask question, I don't know what about this one and I don't know what about this one. You can definitely add a label. So you can see it here by clicking here, you will see that this is a start date and this is a end date. And if you want, you also need a status of it or what happened, whether after submission, you can definitely add more and more data around here. So all you need to do is, this is something like repeater control. So you don't need to add for every row here. All you need to do is select one of it and add a label to the top row and align it the way you wanted it. If you go here, automatically you can see it. The text property is pointing to a reason, which I don't want. All I wanted is status. Let's say, status. The SharePoint, whatever fields we have created, all those fields automatically it's going to show up here. If you want to choose status, you can choose a status and set the font how it is looking like here. It is 18. I'm going to set it as 18. It is that easy. You don't need to know lot of coding styles. All you need is simple the 1 hour or 2 hour sessions and KT, so that you can start using this app. So you can do a lot of formatting or anything else. Let's say I right now, as I said, I don't know whether this request belongs to me or not. So all you need to do is on this control, you need to apply a filter here. It comes up with automatically a filter. Right now, if you see, it is filtering based on the text that I entered on this free text box. Or also you can customize, hey, I don't want to see just only the title by. I also wanted to see based on the current logged in user, I want to see only my data. I already have that filter kept ready here for you. All you need to do is add one more filter saying, created by email is equal to current logged in user email. That's an extra additional line that you need to add. With that, what is going to happen. Look at it. If someone want to play around this one, we can also share that formulas. See, now automatically I'm a user with current logged in. It automatically filter. This is the only request that I submitted now. Now you might also get a question, hey, how do I see any request that is in my queue to approve or any my team members submitted that I want to look at it. All you need to do is just simply, I'm just minimizing this so that we can create some room on the bottom. So just, you don't need to worry about anything, how to drag, from where to drag. All you need to do is just copy this whole control and paste on the one more time. So I'm pulling it down and copying the label. So I'm going to make this one as Now, as I said earlier, all I did here was created by email, current logged in user email. Now the second requirement is I want to see if approver email matches to me. So all we need to do is we have a field called in SharePoint approver. This is a people object. It will have its display name, email ID. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change this created by to approver. So I already have that one here as a formula. Just let me copy paste this one there. You can see it how quickly that's going to switch your dashboard to your approval dashboard.
So Chinna, while you were doing this, there's a question on the chat window. This question has to do with specifically on users training on creating and updating formulas. And my response was that there are videos in YouTube that you can actually do that, or we can actually help you and train you on how to do that. It's a little bit more advanced and from out of the scope of our discussion today, but it is certainly something that does not require a dev level thing, but all you have to do is understand the pseudocode on how it is actually written, and then you can just follow the logic in the WYSIWYG editor as you just saw Chinna do, and easily change the formulas and structures and so forth.
Yes, it is definitely that easy, as Akhil explained. There are not too many formulas in PowerApps. So if you see here, I have sort by column. This is where I'm using this column to sort by, and if it's all simply if anyone knows Excel, how to use Excel formulas is as same as it is. It's that simple. If you come to what additional training that you need to learn if you want to use PowerApps, there are PowerApps comes up with almost like 28 methods or the formulas. If you look at this one, created by the sort by column, filter, starts with, and user object. These are the few things that you need to know. Hey, if I want to use PowerApps with formulas, what Chinna is doing here, there are quite 6 or 7 most common things that you need to learn. Once you know them, how to use it, where to use it, that's all about. You can do zero code to at least 35% code solutions, and you can develop your own. As you want to become IT pro, or hey, I want to do a little more complex developments, definitely we can help you. Or we also do a lot of user trainings and governance. We did for many customers, and we can definitely give you some references, videos. There are a minimum of 8 videos that you have to go through. You can definitely write your little more complicated applications or complex applications. It's that easy. It's most like Excel style formulas. So now coming back to definitely Akhil, that is what it is. Like PowerApps is not that complex. You need to spend little time, then it's very easy to develop. So now you see, just by using 2 additional columns that I added to the existing, these are the 2 things that I added. Additional filter, one by created by, and more additional filter, approver. I can quickly see, hey, this is my request and these are my approvals that I have. Let me save this one and show you a few additional things here. So before I save this one, I want to show you something. Hey, I want to see what else I can do before I save it. If you go to settings, this is where you see your app name. If you want to set any icon or out of the box icons or color to your app, like or I showed you here, like these icons, you can definitely set that here. Let me browse some of the icons that I have here. This is personal time off, so that's all about. And if you want to make it different purpose like landscape or portrait, there is some more little customization that you can do. The width and height, you can adjust that in landscape once you switch it there. Otherwise, there are more powerful features that IT pros can use it here in advanced settings. This deals about, if you are developing any app that is enterprise scale, you need to maintain some caching and cleaning up the cache and refreshing your connections. All that can be done here. So otherwise, at bare minimum, you need to know how to set my app an icon, the themes to the app, and I want to manage my app name. This is the and settings like orientation. What is the purpose of it? Whether the tab purpose or it's a mobile purpose, or if you want to set it as a responsive screen, that also you can set it.
So pause. Yeah, pause here for a second. This is very important. I want the end users to understand this, that when you actually build and deploy a Power App, it is platform agnostic. You can consume it on a Mac, you can consume it in an iPhone, you can consume it in an Android phone, you can actually consume it in any browser, and it depends upon you as an author of how you are publishing the said app. It is very important that you can actually publish it across platforms, and that is the actual beauty and power of the application itself, that you don't have to actually, as a developer, now sit and make the application responsive or make the application specific to a particular platform. Think of this, that when you publish an app, it's regardless of where the end user is coming on from, as long as you've published it using that key component, you are actually going to address that capability. I just want to make sure everybody understands that's the real beauty of all of this, that you don't have to worry about where and how and when your end users are actually coming in from. Sorry, Chin, I just want to make this was a very key point.
Yeah, it's a very good point, Akwil, as you said. And also, it is not a constraint for any browser that it has to work. It works in every browser. You don't have to worry about it. So it's not like a legacy application where you have a lot of restrictions. It's so powerful, you can use it anywhere. So I'm just saving this for now and show you the remaining stuff. So basically, you need to publish every time that you make changes and you are comfortable to share with all your users. So this is where, then you can go here. So if I click here now.
So Chena, a question has come that, let me rephrase it slightly. Mm-hmm. Is it possible? The question, I'm paraphrasing the question so that you can answer it. The question is it possible that somebody can write one app and that it can be published to, like, it can be consumed in a tablet and an iPhone and a browser, and that the developer doesn't have to write 3 different applications for each device? Sure. Can you talk a little bit about how to do that and the flexibility of the PowerApp platform to solve that problem?
I'll address that right now. That's where, I can address that one and the remaining 2 screens that we have. Okay, so let's say, right now I showed here, it looks like I'm in a laptop, but the rest of the screen is empty, but my app is middle. I want to make sure, as you said, Akwil, so I'm going to show the settings here that you need to do so that, based on the browser, it's automatically, stretching out. It's called reactive display. So all you need to do is scale to fit it. In the screen size and orientation, all you need to do is disable this one and apply it. Definitely you need to publish, save it and publish one more time. This will take care of, based on the device that you are accessing, automatically it will stretch to the fit to the screen. Let me go here and refresh.
So by selecting that option, the same application, regardless of the incoming browser or the incoming device will automatically adjust to that particular screen size at the question that was asked. Yep.
Yes. Now you can look at it here.
Yep.
Any device, it automatically fit. If you have a laptop, something, you can flip it backwards or horizontal or vertical. So you can definitely squeeze it up, show it this one. But definitely after after setting that option, we definitely have to resize our application here. That way, you can readjust. You look at like this, right? So you need to readjust. You can readjust your form elements so that it can be beautified. You don't have to see this empty space out here. That will definitely help you, consuming the space around all your screens. So like this, you can distribute your form elements and automatically it will be reactive. Any question around this one? We can answer further on this. Otherwise, I'm going to show the remaining two screens that we have right now. What we have seen is the dashboard screen. And also I want to go through like adding a new item and editing the existing item. So that screens I'll show you here. So if you see the detail screen, as soon as I click here, it was taking me to another screen where I can see the details. This is where the screen that you can see visualize, usually dashboard will have a limited number of fields to show up, bare minimum fields. We can have it as many as there is also, what you can do is, hey, if I want to show only 2 elements here, but when I click something, an icon or plus or some icon, I want to expand something and see the remaining details. Instead of going to this screen and look at it, we definitely can do it. That requires a little bit additional functional experience and writing formulas. That also can be done. It's called, drill down functionality in PowerApps. You can definitely do that. Otherwise, as we are going through out of the box and what PowerApps scaffolded for us. So if you want to beautify this, that's where, as a non-technical user, how easily you can make it beautify and use it. So this is what I was talking about. This is a display screen. If you look at here, this is what I was talking about here. PowerApps also comes up with the display screen and edit screen. So edit screen is for creating as well and editing as well. So this is what, in the display screen, it comes up with a details form. Again, this is pointed to our personal time off data source, and you can also see what fields you have it here. If you have more than few hundred fields, you can choose which field you want, or you can also add an existing field.
Let me take a high level approach on this. What Chinna is actually talking about is simple form building, leveraging click and drag capability of different types of fields that can be added. The question is going to be asked, can I build my own custom field? Yes, you can, but it requires a little bit more advanced knowledge, and it will require, that's not in scope for our call today, but we can certainly follow up with how you can actually build your own fields to be added to a particular form. That's what Chinna is specifically talking about right now, is the click and drag capability of adding fields to a form. Sorry, Chinna, I was just elaborating on what was.
No problem. That's a great point. Yep. So we can also pick up we can also remove any field that we don't want on this screen. And also this screen, this out of the box, it comes up like this. If you don't like this one, this way it's supposed to be, all you can do is you have two different layouts out of the box. One is vertical layout, what we are seeing right now. All you need to do is just click this one and it will automatically flip it. And if you believe you have a lot of space on the screen and you wanted to make it do multiple columns because you have a lot of fields to display, you can go here and choose whatever number of columns you want. You can see it here. Again, you can adjust it and change the font, change the colors, everything. So you don't need any technical experience, all these things. All you need to know is how to access your IDE and which columns you need to set all this stuff.
Can you show the advanced features on the fields as well on the right inside the properties as well? Up
Yeah.
on the, yep.
Yeah, I'll walk through that.
Yes, please do. Thank you.
Yeah, I'll come back to that again. So as Akhil was pointing earlier question, let's say, I don't want to have two columns here saying start date, end date. You want to see like in these two fields in one column, you can definitely write a formula to show both dates in like maybe a hyphen or start date, end date. All you can do, it comes up with these are the basic properties that you can look and change your colors or anything, font or anything. And also it comes up with some advanced settings here. So let's say, I'll start with the form control. You can see data source, all the fields properties that it has here. And also it will have height, items and everything that it has. So if you look at it here, the data source is personal time off, but which item I'm displaying here? From the gallery control, from the browser, the dashboard screen, whatever you select, that's what it is going to display here. That simple it is. You don't need to worry about, like which field I have to set it to which one. It automatically picked up here. If you want to learn, if you want to customize this screen, develop your own, you can also do that. But that requires a little bit, not too many skills. There it's very simple to learn as well. There are a lot of videos out of the box we can share with you if you want. Otherwise, how is it working? Like whatever I selected, how does this screen knows what I selected here means the data source is already configured. Whatever I select on the dashboard screen, that's what, this is the formula. In this control, there are two advanced properties. One is item and is one data source. This is where it sets whatever selected on the dashboard screen, the gallery control, that is going to be displayed here. That simple it is. So this is going to scaffold everything for you. Again, you can write your formulas like, hey, if it is submitted, I want to show it as a different color. If it is pending approval, I want to show in an orange color. If it is approved, then I want to show in green color. Everything can be done. All you require is, small formulas. If gallery control selected item dot status equal to submitted, then what do I need to do? That kind of Excel formulas.
So a question has come, which is interesting. Can we change the design screen's real estate? The real estate right now looks like it's being built for a phone. The question is, can the real estate be made more for a browser versus a phone? And how can we do that? I think you're right there. So if you can answer that question, please.
Yes. So can you last part to me? Real estate.
Sure.
Means
the question is, how can users, when they're designing the form, how can they change the size of the real estate of the canvas so that it looks like it's right now for a phone, but how will the actual, if they want to design a form for like a browser, how do they do that?
That's what I showed earlier here. We need to change this setting here.
That's right. So yeah. I was just answering the question.
Yeah, still it is in portrait mode. That's the reason you look like a phone. I'm switching to landscape. Then you can see it is going to go even in the designer mode also. I should have showed that. That's okay. So that's in designer mode also you will see that here.
That's what I wanted you to show. There you go. So
now you see. Now you can flip between two columns if you have more columns to show here. So based on your needs, you need to remove that option, disable it. Then you can flip between your landscape or portrait modes. So that will help you whichever direction you want to see, whichever device you want to see. Now also you can ask me a question, China, you changed it to a portrait mode. Can it fit into your phone? Yes, it does fit into your phone because we removed that option. It's going to squeeze based on your actual fit of the browser fit size of it. Any device for any device.
Right. So it basically dynamically adjusts depending upon the device that you're coming in from. and it's completely responsive as well. I just want to make sure everybody knows that.
Yep. And since we have another 2 minutes, let me quickly go here with the edit screen. Even edit screen also exactly the same. So this is the form that we are using for edit. It remains the same. Data source remains same. We have to choose item, which item it's been. We need to show the only difference is this switch to edit mode. So this will give an option where you can go and edit your screen, edit your element or add a new one. So again, we have the same options here. You can change it to any other mode you want, and you can play with these controls and you can disable them. Hey, I have already submitted it. Since it is approver screen, I don't want to display as edit mode. You can definitely switch them. You can switch them here easily. You can check your conditions and change it here. You have all that formulas here. Mode, display mode. Right now it is locked. You need to unlock that property, change it to display read-only mode. Then, in the edit also, you don't see them as in a text box. So it's all settings out here. You can see if the text box is single line or multiple line, if it is a password. So if it is a phone number or anything like social security number, I know definitely nobody is going to put social security number on PowerApps, but if you want to hash out or anything, you can make it as a password text box so that nobody can see it only except from the creator of it. So that easy it is. Okay, that's all. That's about. And let me go here quickly. So let me publish this one with all these settings. Let me change to multi-column and so that we can see it, how it is working. You can also add attachment. There are a lot of features. Like when we go to the remaining slides, we'll show you what features you can do it. Otherwise, quickly let me complete this part of the demo. We'll talk more when we come to what are the types of use cases, what features, blah blah stuff we can do with this PowerApps.
China, a question has been asked, and we can very quickly show it as well. Mm-hmm. The question is around a user being able to add multi-line displays. So if they have a text box or a multi-line display, how can one do that? That's a question that was asked. I quickly answered it that there is a control available to do that. Can you just quickly address that if possible right now? If otherwise we can put it in the parking lot to look at it later.
Yeah, we need to park it for later because we hit already 11:55 here.
Okay.
So we are at this time. So we can definitely address that in during a workflow demo. We might have some room there. We can address it.
Sure. Actually, it's 10:55. We still have about 50 minutes. You have 50 more minutes available. It's not 11:55. It's 10:55 Central.
Sure. Sorry about that.
So you still have a lot of time. 45 minutes to finish this. So take your time.
Yeah. Can you reiterate the question one more time, please?
Yeah. The question was having a multi-line display. So if you have multi-line text coming in from a SharePoint list, for example, or if you have a multi-line data that you want somebody to type a note in, can you show how that is actually used?
Exactly.
Text.
Good question.
Exactly.
So we have a reason here in the SharePoint. Let me check if that should be a multi-line field.
Correct. Correct.
So that the same field I can display.
Correct. So
yes, it's a multi-line text.
Yep. So reason is a multi-line display. So let's show them how they can put in reason as a column and make it into a multi-line display. Correct.
Let me squeeze this attachment control. So here I'm going to drag this reason field to the bottom. So basically what happens is when you choose a screen, it comes up with this order. If you want to change your order, there is an option here to drag it up, down, pull it up and down. So I'm bringing the reason text field to the bottom so that we can make it bigger text box and see how that works. So now, even though I pulled it down here, it's still on the second column, which I don't want, and I want it here as a bigger one. All you need to do is, you see this one, how I set a property here to make it bigger, the screen bigger. Similarly, this one snap scale to fit. Similarly, within the control also, we have this one snap to columns. If you disable it, this is where it allows you to bring it up any control bottom or up in the columns.
Right. The question was more like if there's a multi-line text.
Yeah, I'm bringing it down so that you can see it.
Yep. And then there's a follow-up as well, so we'll get into that. How we're going to show them one more things as well. Yeah. Eric, I'll get to your question in a second.
Let me remove this one so that it is here. Now all you need to drag it out. So you can adjust any way that you want and come back to this control here, make it multi-lined.
There you go.
Now so I'm just, there is a quick run mode as well. If you click this play button, you can see it here. So
that's pretty much like a preview. So
yeah, preview.
You're not
you can
publishing
type as many lines you want here.
Exactly. Okay, so an interesting question has come up, and I think we need to go through it a little slower. I think we rushed through it. What I think we need to show people is the how the data set is tied to items in the form. So, for example, when you the actual binding of the data columns to the actual items in the field in the SharePoint list. I think there's a question that has come up that if we can show how that binding is actually done.
Okay.
That I think we rushed through it a little fast, so if you can address that, that would be great.
Yeah, definitely we have a lot of time and I'll show that. So basically, I think it's a little bit, pro question. So I can show that how actually you can do on your own, how it is binding everything. Let me create a new vanilla blank canvas app. Since time permits us here, I can show that one as well.
Yep.
So here, as Akhil was saying, you can connect to any data source that you would like. But our intent is here, I want to start on my own with any of the layout that I want as from a blank. So I'm choosing here blank layout. So with tablet mode. So now it is vanilla, empty. It doesn't have anything in it. I want to connect my own SharePoint list and bring up and bind it and stuff like that.
That's exactly right. That's what we want to show.
So let me make it bigger. So that's where, first you need to start with an app created. It also automatically comes up with a blank screen, empty screen here. You can add as many screens you want. Here I have a blank screen. First thing you need to think of is how do I connect to my data source? Go to your data, go to your connectors and choose your SharePoint or CDS, anything that you would like. Here I'm choosing SharePoint.
Yes, slow down here, slow down. So what Chinna is talking about is that in your IDE, once you first create a blank app, on the right-hand side, you have the data connectors tab. You click on that tab and it will show you all the default connectors that are available. If you actually scroll to the bottom of that, you'll see that there is see all connectors. And this is where you can connect to Excel, you can connect to all that 270, some are premium, of course, if you're connecting to things like Salesforce, if you're connecting to things like Amazon, all this stuff is right there. So over here, you will come and select where the SharePoint list, because SharePoint, and we're going to essentially say SharePoint right there. Perfect. Thank you, Chinna. That's that. Yeah. I wanted to show the ability to bind the data and to bring that data connector, that list data insights. Please continue.
Yeah. So here, if you have ever not connected to SharePoint yet, it will show an empty screen here when you, as soon as you click with a add new connection, add a connection. All it does is when you click it, it will ask you, where do you want to connect?
And this is
SharePoint.
And a very important point. If you actually have multiple SharePoint sites and you actually have different tenants for development versus production, you can actually, using the same IDE, you can connect to all those different sites. You don't need to have multiple IDE sessions and things like that. The same one singular location, you can connect to 10 different SharePoint sites in 10 different tenants. It's actually n times n. So you don't necessarily need to connect to that. The other thing which you're very well showing over here, if you have SharePoint on-prem or you have SharePoint that is in the cloud, but a hosted SharePoint, you can actually connect to that as well, where you can actually then type in, it will prompt you for your credentials and you can authenticate to the site and actually connect to those specific areas as well. I just want to make sure everybody understands that.
Thanks, Akhil. Yes, so now you can see it here, either cloud service or an on-premise service. If it requires a gateway to configure from the IT administrators, if that is configured, definitely you can pick up your SharePoint on-premise as well. Being the PowerApp is in cloud, you can definitely connect to your on-premise SharePoint as well. Now I'm saying connect. So this is where, if you have ever not logged in, it will ask for username or password. Otherwise, since it's already, I've been already authenticated here and it's already associated with a particular tenant here, automatically it connects to the default SharePoint that within this tenant. Otherwise, if you have huge number of sites, you can definitely copy paste your URL or you can enter search here. So for this example, I'm picking up this app in a day. And within that app in a day site, I have only one personal time of list that I'm choosing and asking to connect. So now at this point in time, I picked up my data source that is not still bound to any control or anything. Now what do you want us to do? So usually we think of it's a home screen. I want to have my dashboard data. Or you can also have, let's say, usually people think, hey, I want to have links, quick links on my app. From there, I'm going to go drill down and do that. That also you can do it. At this point in time, I'm showing you, how to bring up the dashboard from the vanilla app that you requested. So all we need to do is go to insert. So what are we trying to do? Are we developing a form to edit or display? No. Are we, what is our intent? Are we going to use a data table that's going to be like display data as a tabular format? No. I want to have a control that I can display data and I can act on it. If you have a data grid, that is good for display as a tabular format, or you can take a screenshot or report format. So if you want to have a layout or anything that you can display it and you can put some control and click on it and navigate here and there, that's where the gallery control will help you. So again, here either you can pick up vertical or horizontal, any of flexible height or anything. So as you requested, I'm picking up blank gallery control. So as soon as assume you placed a gallery control here. So now gallery control, assume it is a repeater tabular formatted repeater control. All we need to do is first row we need to configure. That way it's going to repeat. To make sure, I'll put some border around it so that you can see where I'm clicking. So this is the first row that we need to configure so that it's going to repeat it. So on the right side or in the advanced mode, you can see some properties and where you need to set your data source. So here it's very easy, handy. So you already connected to your SharePoint, that whether it's on-premise or online or wherever it is, you have a data source here. This is the data source. You need to pick it up. Once you pick it up your data source, if you click here, you don't see any fields because this is the vanilla empty layout you picked up. Let me show you something here. Another gallery control. Let me put this one down. I have another gallery control, which it has a pre-formatted fields automatically, a picture, two fields automatically it will connect to current data source. If I pick up this one, you see the difference now.
So what we're trying to show is the ability for a control to be bound to specific fields in a data set. And what we're trying to show is that in the SharePoint list, you have certain fields in certain columns, and we want to map those to particular columns and fields in the control. That's what we're trying to show over here, China.
Yeah.
So at a very high level, can you show that?
Yeah, that's what I'm showing here.
Perfect.
So empty screen, empty format, empty layout. I don't know how to set this. Then you can pick up another format control here, put it here. Then again you can go changes, choose your data source. Now you can see how it came up with these columns. So you did not set anything, but it automatically came up. Now you can see how it came up. If you click on this control, in the text property, all it is saying is this item dot title. This is the field that is mapping to SharePoint. If you look at here, title, start date, end date, that is what it is mapping here. So now in your control, you want to have that you want to from the scratch you are trying to build. As I said earlier, you need to configure your first row for all that purpose. So you choose your first row and click on the label. Automatically that label will fall onto your first row. Now you can see it. This label field selected, you can see text is automatically pointing to this item dot title. This item is the PowerApps method that will let you act on any individual row item at a time. So if I go here, since I already have seen, like title, I want to see who created this one. If you type created, so you will see that it created by, who created it. So I'm choosing created by. Created by is a people picker field object. It will have multiple properties. So if you press period one more time here, you can see it, which department he belongs to. Out of the box, Microsoft gave few properties: department, display name, email, job title, picture. So I want to use my display name here. So there are two users who already requested submitted data. So their names are coming up here. So again, this is the guy user, request, and there is HR manager. I want to add one more field to the row. So I'm picking up, some other field here. If I go reason, so this is how, you can configure and set anything that you want. And also I don't like this arrow. I want to have something else more icon. If I click here, you have a lot of different icons. You can, again, you need to keep selected this one. More. So it is a repeater, as I said, automatically it comes here. That way, you can write your own, include your own elements, right, and write formulas around it.
What I would suggest is change the default colors and borders so that when we publish it, people can see and do a comparison. So you have some fields over there that if you can just change the color and the border and the font, it will help make that point.
Yeah, well, let me change it to something here. New 16. You don't change for every control in the row, in the column. Change only the first one, automatically it changes to entire. Right. So this is how it is. Then also you can say, hey, this is looks like, very good. But how do I know which row I'm selecting? It's all, simple Excel formula based formulas. This layout control, the gallery control, it is technically called. It has some kind of advanced properties where you can choose and set, different formulas or different settings. Let's say it's, technically it is called, each row is called as a template. So if I want to have a different color for the selected row, you can click it here. By default, it is saying white. So I think I have that formula also here. Let's say whichever item that I have selected, I wanted to show in a different color. So all you need to do is, as I said earlier, this item points to current row in the grid. So this item is selected, then set it to gray, otherwise white. So if I quickly play this one, and you can see it how it is switching. Similarly, you have it came up with a picture. So now I want to do myself here. It's very easy. So select this first row and pick up, I'm going for an image. I pick up an image. I want to put it here. So I want to display who submitted here. I want to display China's picture here. Then on the advanced properties, you have an image. By default, it shows some pretext. So here, PowerApps comes up with a user object. It's called a user object. Current logged in information it gives us. Current logged in information, this is how you can access. So image, email, full name. So I want to have China's image if he has it. Otherwise, I want to, if it doesn't have, then also, I want to have his tooltip as a, when I hover over his picture, I want to see who currently logged in. So then again, you need to select this one. There is a tooltip property that will give you, again, I'll pick up user object and give full name. So now you can see if you run it, see, you can see who is this guy about. Like that, if you want to set it to current logged in user, then again, you need to do the same. So you go to this item dot created by dot picture. So that way, individual row item user will come up. So in the tooltip also, the same thing I'll do here. I'll copy paste this one. This is not the tooltip. This is a tooltip. I'll take full name or a display name to show it. And the picture, if I go to see the image, I will switch to created by user picture. So if he has any picture, that it will come up. And if you want to say, who I want to see who is the current logged in user into the application, you can put one image here like this, and you can change it user current logged in user dot image. So that's how you can bring up your headers, and also you can beautify. If you don't like the format of this one, select this one. You can go here in the advanced properties. Even if you want to drill down instead of having this one, you want to have a circular, then you can lot of properties available here to make it different settings.
Yeah, let me jump in quickly. What the central theme of the message from what Jenna is presenting here today is that we have the ability to manipulate the look and feel of the fields. Obviously, he's getting into some more advanced things where he's actually typing things and manipulating things. It's not that it's nuclear science. It just takes a little while of getting used to the IDE and also playing around with the different properties as he just showed you. One other cool thing that he really pointed out is that you can see it in, like, as he just showed you, he hasn't really published this out as a form yet. So if you're afraid anytime that, hey, if I make some changes, will it break something, you can do all this manipulation on your form, and you can actually see it in sort of quote unquote preview mode where he just showed you by hitting the display button. That's very understand and know you necessarily until you actually publish something to that list as a form, it's not going to be available for your end users. Can we talk a little bit, Chinna, about the process of how a form gets like you make changes to it, and then how you publish it, how it shows up on the SharePoint side of things when you just made these changes? Thank you.
Definitely, Akhil. We have a lot of time. We can give more advanced information to our customers here.
Yep.
Definitely. Yeah.
Let's do that.
Yeah. So I'll go back to the control that we have developed here. So let's say now now I have this app. Chinna, I don't know if everybody want to access on the cell phone. I want to publish this one, and I want to have it on the SharePoint home screen, so that, you know, on the home screen, I want to use this app and submit the request and see how it works. So let's say all you need to do is on the file control, first thing you need to save and publish. That's where, you know, it will go to everyone. Then how do you, the next question comes is, who can access this? You know, where, if I'm going to put onto the SharePoint, what if it breaks, and what if they can't see it? So all you need to make sure is, in SharePoint or this PowerApps, it's based on the permissions that you gave, who can access it. If they don't have access, definitely it's going to break on the SharePoint screen or in a phone or whenever they try to access it. First of all, it's not going to show up, but making sure if you want to post this one available to your team in your SharePoint team site, definitely you need to share with your team members. And let me show you how do you share with users and stuff like that. Then we'll post it onto the SharePoint screen, then everybody can see it from there. Now, this is the app that we developed for today. If you go click here, you can see share. So this is where, you know, you need to put all your users who can access it. You can pick it up. It's connected to Active Directory or tenant Active Directory. I have a couple of users, so I'm going to show like, so I have HR manager, crew admin, and I have QA, a lot of QA, one QA users. So yeah, I have tons of users. I'm going to pick up. This is how, you know, you can share it. Here you need to look at a few other options. So you are, by default, it shows like, you know, user here. You can notice that. That means there are only users who can access this app and submit data and stuff, things like that. If any one of these users you want to make as a, you know, who can customize this app going forward along with you, you need to select that option, co-author, co-owner. Then only they can use, edit, share the app with other users. Otherwise, you know, they're going to be simply users. For now, for this demo purpose, I'm choosing like, you know, everybody can use it, edit it, and customize it since they're your team members. And also this SharePoint connection, it will be, you know, granted permissions to these people. And keep in mind, like, you know, since you are sharing this connection which you logged in as your username password, but when you share with these users and if these users connect to the app, definitely this connection is not going to be used your credentials. It's going to delegate to the current logged in user. automatically it grants permission to all these users. You don't have to worry about, hey, your data permissions, is it going to use my permissions or these user permissions? There is a concept of delegate permissions. That's what is happening here. As soon as I share it, it's going to grant permission to these users to use this connection based on their authentications. So you don't have to worry about that.
Yeah, what I want to make a point here is that when somebody is being made a co-owner, that effectively gives them edit rights. They basically have rights to then edit the application. If you do not give them co-owner permissions, they have the right to just use the application, not necessarily make any changes to it. Similar to reader versus author role in SharePoint, if I can, or contributor, sorry, reader and contributor role. Editing the app should be, as a best practice, limited to a user in your environment. You should not open it up for everybody. A question has come up, and I'll address that towards the end of our discussion around dev, test, prod, and how to manage versioning of the applications and things like that. We'll definitely address it,
Sure.
but I want you to finish this current theme of things, and we'll get into that at the end of the discussion.
Now we have this app. We know we can access this app based on the permissions now that we have given. And as soon as you log into the PowerApp on your mobile screen or desktop or browser, automatically, if you have a permission within that tenant, that particular app, you can definitely see it. Now, the other question usually my customer ask me, Chinna, why can't we, since you developed this app, I want to have this app on my SharePoint screen. Can I use it? I have some other intranet application. Can I access it? Can I put it there somehow? Definitely you can do that. How you do that is, so if you click on this more commands here, there is a details section. Click on the details section. This is the URL that you need to pick it up and post it onto your browser. So I'm taking this link, going back to my SharePoint, and on the home page, I want to put it here somewhere so that, we have my team, as soon as they come in here, they can take a look at their request and what's happening around as part of one section of the page. Now let me edit this one. So SharePoint has inbuilt the PowerApp object here, Power BI as well. So I'm choosing this one. So all I need to do is copy paste it here, the URL, then publish. That simple it is. As soon as my team comes into this home screen, you can have multiple pages. For this demo purpose, I put it onto the home page. As you did any operations that in the PowerApps, you can do the same things here. You can filter it, search it.
So what Chinna has just shown you is the ability to dynamically depend on a designated page within your intranet. And very simply, by grabbing the web link that he published the application at, you can very simply add it to a page and then display the application. Chinna, I know it might not be possible, but I want to make sure everybody understands that this is completely responsive. You can actually, when you open this, you will, in a tablet mode, or in any other mode, it will dynamically adjust to that incoming browser request. Just want to make sure everyone understood that. Thank you.
Thank you. So that's how, let's say if it is SharePoint, it is well and good. Chinna, I have something else on my developed in a Visual Studio.NET, a web application or a Java JSP application as a web application. Can I use this URL in those applications? Definitely. There is a iframe control. You can configure that iframe control with the URL that I showed you in the details section. Then if it is posted there, They might be asked to enter user credentials at one time. Then once it is entered, they can definitely see it. It can be reused anywhere. That simple it is. So, Akhil, do you want to address that environmental here?
Yes. So a question, question was asked, how to manage dev test prod in a single tenant. It's very simple. Whenever you are actually developing applications in SharePoint Online, we run into this with all our customers quite often, where I'm asked the question, should I set up a separate tenant for my development environment, or should I develop in the same environment? Will I break something? The short answer is that it depends on what you're trying to do. If it's an enterprise application and you are deploying it across the entire enterprise, it's always good to have the application segmented into its own site collection. If you have as a development environment, what you do by that is that you control the environment variables of the tenant. If you actually deploy if you set up a development environment in a separate tenant, you definitely secure it completely as a dev tenant. But now that dev tenant might be hosted in the cloud on a completely different location, and its environment variables might be very different from your production tenant's environment variables. So the easiest solution for a non-developer staff is to ask your IT administrator, whoever in your environment might be managing your tenant, to provision you a site collection, which is a SharePoint, a top-level site, where you can actually host all your development activities. Once it is ready, you can actually then very quickly, as Chinna showed you, you can replicate that list into or a whatever that site, where how you built it, into a UAT site collection, where people can actually be invited to test the application. Once it passes the test, it can be moved into production. The ability in SharePoint to extract a list, replicate it, and put it into a different location is out of scope for our current discussion, but it is very, very simple and very, very easy to do. And as long as you're within the same tenant. I would also like to add two things here. One is that if we, once you, whatever you do in your development site collection does not impact production. So if you break something, or you accidentally publish a form, or you delete a list, or heaven forbid delete the site collection even, it is not going to impact your production environment. Number one. Number two, you can see it actually functioning live in a cloud-based environment. You can test it from multiple browsers. You can test it from different devices. That's the cool part of it. The bad part of it is that you are in fact doing development on the same tenant. It is completely segmented, but for those purists out there who actually believe that that development should be completely segmented into its own environment, this obviously breaks that rule. That is one way. And understand that the app is tied to a list here. That is the use case that we showed you. An app can be tied to a SQL server. An app can be tied to different data sources. And as that app is only bound to that data source. So as long as that data source is segmented into its own location, you don't have a you will not have a problem where it will potentially cause any issues. And it will that's the right way to do it. Well, I'll take my words back. There is no such thing as a right way. That's a recommended way of doing that. The second question was asked is, can you change the data storage list to another list? So for example, if I have a data, like right now you are connecting to one list, can I change it to a different list, or can I consume multiple lists in the same app? Chinna, can you address that question, please?
Exactly. Yes. So
the answer is yes, but I want you to expand.
Yeah. Yeah. So many scenarios are, master-child relationships. So I have some master data in one list. I have details in another list. Yes, definitely you can have as many as connections you can have, and data can be consolidated and displayed based on one selection. You can connect to another app and display the data from there. So let me show you one quick example. Let me see, what do I have? So sorry, I'm switching. I need to find some site that has multiple lists, or I'll create one quick list here with master and detail and quickly show you. That would be better.
I would recommend, since we have about 15 minutes, that you just create one in your site. Just create.
Yeah. So I name it as master. And add one more field name. I'll keep it very simple, and I'll put some data here. Title manager. The example I'm trying to build here is, let's say we have a master data with the two managers. It's kind of, hierarchy. So who reports to whom? So I'm trying to put two managers here. So I'm going to put details as, to another list as whom do they report. That way you can see when I select a master, then you can connect to a different source and pull up the data based on you selected on the first one. So I have one quick master list, and I go here, add an app, one more app, custom list, details. So here I'm going to create, so resource manager ID. So here I'm going to have quick edit. I'm going to give one A and manager ID 1, resource 2, B, manager 1, C, manager 2, D, manager 2. So let me show you how do we connect two different sources in the same site. And when I select first source, how do I filter data from the second source? So let me go ahead and create a quick one more app for us here. That is my make.powerapps.com. So I go here and click new canvas app. And I'm picking up again a custom list that I'm going to repeat the same steps one more time for us, our users here. so that they can see one more time how quickly we build from scratch. So now I'm going to have two sections, one for master data to display, and section is for based on the master. I want to see the details. So I'm going to have two gallery controls, one for connecting to master, empty. Again, I'm picking up empty one here. Let me put some border around it so that we can see which control we are working on. And I'm going to have another control. So I have two of it now. So this is master, and this is where my child details are. And I'm going to have this one. So I'm connecting, so I'm making a connection now. As I said, on the left side we have data. I'm connecting to SharePoint. I can use any of my existing connection because I'm not changing the URL of the site collection or site. So if I pick the app in a day site, within that I have created master and details. So don't hesitate to choose as many lists that you want. It's going to show up on here like how many you selected it. Okay. So I have master and details. Now for the first one, I'm going to select master. And as I said, we need to choose our fields by selecting the first row. And this is pointing to title. Here, I'm displaying the only field that doesn't have any choice. It has two options. It came up with both options. So quickly, I'm changing the font so that we all can see it. And I'm not beautifying further. I selected all. Let me put that one selection for what we can definitely see is what is selected and what is displaying on the left side. So I'm coming here, I'm picking up details. Now I'm going to choose the columns that I want to display. Choose the first row and put your labels and pick up the columns that you wanted to use. And second one, resources. Now these two are individual. How do we connect? So what all I have to do is the items. So in this one, so this is the where details are coming from. Now this detail section I have to filter based on the selection I made here. All I have to do is filter details. You can see the syntax here, logical test, comma. So gallery, so that we need to pick up whatever been selected here. So this control name is gallery 1. So here I have to make a gallery. So what I'm doing is manager ID is equal to gallery control 1 dot selected dot title. I'll explain this one.
So what he's essentially doing, he's tying the controls together at a very high level. Yeah. He's connecting the selection in one control, leading to a manipulation of data in the secondary control. Yeah. That's the use case that we're trying to cover. And what he just showed you is that in the second list that he has, based upon the value selected in the first list, you're going to see some data manipulation. This is called connected controls at a very high level. Please continue, Chinna.
Yeah. So one simple formula, filter. I'm filtering details based on manager ID on the details and is equal to the master control title, because that's what the number that we related. master details, manager ID, details table, manager ID, I'm equating. That's all about. All it is I'm saying is filter based on if this matches, filter it, filter the details. That simple it is. You see it now? Just one Excel formula.
Yep.
So you can also ask me a question. Can you put this control inside this one? That's what I said. We can definitely do that. We can put some control expand collapse. And also you can ask question, why are you displaying as a separate section? Can you show it here itself? Definitely we can do that also.
Yeah.
All it depends on which connection you made.
Yeah, for the purposes of our discussion, let's just show this how it'll look and wrap it up, because we have about 4 to 5 minutes left.
Yeah.
And I do want to cover the other 2 slides that we have in our deck as well.
Yeah. Okay, I believe I answered the question.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Let's actually switch back to our slide deck at this point. We are at 11:44, and if you can just enlarge this. Yep. Into presentation mode. Yep, there we go. So at a very high level, what you just saw today is the ability of a citizen developer, as we talk about it, having the ability to build PowerApps with low code or no code applications. You interact with the IDE at the client, at the UI and logic at the app level. Post our lunch break, we're going to cover Microsoft Power Automate, which allows us to build very powerful workflows and automate business process automation. We're not going to go into it right now, but at what this slide is effectively showing you is that when you actually build a Power App, your UI and logic is built into the app. You have connectors into the back end, such as SharePoint, SQL Server, Dynamics. Those are all there, and we've just covered that today. Next slide, please. As an IT pro, you also have the ability to create and use applications, monitor and control, and low-code apps. The cool thing with developing apps as an IT pro, if you allow it for your users to build applications, is that they can't really break the entire environment if they do something bad. Since it's actually a low-code, no-code solution, it's something that is not going to necessarily deploy something on a server or deploy something on the side that will make it unrenderable, and so forth. You can create and use it, as China showed you today. You can monitor and control all these things, and it allows you to see who is doing what. Really powerful in extending the capability of your business platform, which is M365, as I'm assuming over that. Very quickly on the last slide, China. For professional developers, I'm not gonna go into this a whole lot. This is, I know the audience here might not be pro developers, but the cool part of if you are a professional developer and you are a pro developer and you actually want to leverage Power Apps, it can actually do all these great things where you can actually have direct connections using Azure services. You can use Azure Data Services, Azure Data Factory. You can do entire ETL frameworks, extract, transform, load. You actually have the ability to connect to customized code that you might have written in Visual Studio and deploy it. You have the ability to consume services from Delve and cognitive services as well. You can connect to scripts that have been written and deployed in Azure. You can actually run resources in Azure and call those from your Power Apps. It really expands the capability, and it allows people to deploy apps relatively quickly. In the old days, you would have to define all your UI manually and create the controls and Visual Studio and so forth. What this does is it really speeds up your development, and it allows you to scale those services and deploy them very, very quickly in a platform agnostic manner. We'll take questions. We have roughly a minute. I think we have hit our mark as far as the timing is concerned. That's the last piece. One thing I do want to talk to you guys briefly about is what you saw today was a quick example of a very simple time off application. A lot of times our customers ask us, well, where can I use this in the real world scenario? Well, if you have things like info path forms, SharePoint 2010, .NET, old legacy customized applications in Lotus Notes, things like events that you might be running, or you have approval processes that you need to go through, and you'll see that how you can actually build a Power App with a backend Power Automate that can actually approve and move items around, and you'll see that. If you have all these types of different applications within your enterprise that need to be built or need to or were built and need to be retired, those are key use cases where people can really leverage the power of this platform, power of PowerApps. That's rather rudimentary to say, but we've actually mapped it in this slide. And since you're going to get this deck post this call, and you can we'll talk a little bit about that, but you can actually see what these types at a very high level, where our minds are, where things like use cases map to actual technology solutions. So if somebody asks you, hey, I have employee onboarding and offboarding process in Lotus Notes, what should I implement it in? This is by and far, it's not a baked in recommendation, but this is what our other customers and other people have done. So guys, welcome back to our post lunch session, afternoon session. We're going to talk about the second component of the Power Platform during this next couple of hours, and we're going to demo some stuff to you as well. And well, not demo, but actually build a flow using Power Automate. At a very high level, Microsoft released Power Automate originally as called Microsoft Flow, and they rebranded it because it's much more than a workflow engine. It basically is a service that is provided by the M365 platform and is part of the overall package from Microsoft, and allows you to automate and deploy complex business processes in a seamless manner. It can be consumed by end users. It can be developed by developers. You can actually, it has a very good WYSIWYG editor, and you're going to see how easy it is to build and deploy workflows in the Office 365 environment. We're going to cover, the intent and scope of our call is at the 100 level here today, but feel free to ask questions as we're going along. Feel free to ask, I might answer some, I might postpone them for a future discussion, and we'll definitely go from there. So let's, next slide, please. Essentially, what Power Automate does is it allows you to build flows that can connect to all types of human processes. Like within your enterprise, you might have onboarding employees, offboarding employees. You might have, you just saw a paid time off application. There might be an approval workflow that goes with it. There might be applications with APIs that are legacy applications that you need to collect and post data to. Power Automate allows you to do that. It's very powerful. It has AI and cognitive abilities as well, which has recently been released by Microsoft. And we'll talk a little bit about that, but it might be a little too advanced for our session today. And then, of course, it has the ability to connect to SaaS-based applications, such as, I'll give a classic example where we helped a customer connect to Salesforce and pull and post data based upon transactions and triggers that were taking place in Office 365. Next slide, please. The basic Power Automate UI that we're going to get into today is that you're going to see that Chinna is going to show you. Right, this is I promise that we've kept our slides to a minimum. Is going to be things like triggers, actions, and conditional logic. There's much more than this, but we're going to limit the scope of our discussion today to those three things. What is a trigger, what is an action, and what is conditional logic that you can then execute based upon that. So trigger is very simply, from a pure definition, is something that kicks off a process. It could be as simple as uploading an item into a SharePoint list. It could be changing a value inside a SharePoint list column. It could be any action a user can take or a system may take that could start or conclude or run, indicate to the system that it needs to do something. An action, of course, is defined as something that the workflow engine is supposed to do. And based upon the conditional logic, it will then go and execute that action. There is much more to this. There is, as I said, we're trying to keep this at the 100 level. And please feel free if you have questions, as I said, as we get into this. Next, I think that is my last slide, and now we're going to go into the actual Automate lab. So over to you, Chinna.
Thank you, Akhil. Sorry about that. Okay, so I'm going to start from where we left with our time off application. Let's say in this use case, let's say someone submitted a request. How do the approver or manager get to know until unless he logged into a system and he can see that someone requested it? There are multiple ways to do it. One is send an email, where these days everybody has cell phone configured to receive emails. So at the same time, there are recent upgrades to Automate, saying hey, Power App basically. If the approver has logged into their Power App applications onto their browser and the cell phones, they can also receive a notification. That's been a great addition to Power Apps specifically. All the requirement is the approver should have a cell phone. In the cell phone, there should be a Power App, and Power App has been logged in once at least. Then he will receive notifications like any other apps. They send notifications to like WhatsApp or Twitter or anything. It will also pop up like, hey, you have a notification from this particular application. So that powerful it is now. And also, there are a lot of great features like, hey, how do I know if my Power Automate is successfully completed? And that there has been a great addition to Power Automate to receive that email also. And also, I have a long-running Power Automate workflow that has super complex logic. It might break any point in time. How do I know if it is failed? So there has been quite a few wowies that Microsoft keep adding a lot of features to it. Some of them, we'll see it. There are quite a number of things where to do it, but we'll see that minimum. How do we this basic needs that any customer requires it. So going back, to our application, we can create this Power Automate workflow from different sources. So one of the easiest places, hey, I have this workflow, this SharePoint list. I want to get an email if anything has been submitted with me as an approver. So all you need to do is click on this Power Automate, create a workflow. If you choose this, here itself you will get a pop-up so that you can choose templates. There are quite a number of templates, like as Akhil was saying, there has been action on this list, a creation action. Then what needs to happen? If there is a creation and modification, what's supposed to be happen? So like that, you can have, there are quite a number of templates. Microsoft give tons of it. So we can pick it up and based on our needs and start going from there. So for this demo, I'm going to quickly create a workflow from here itself rather than directly going on to the IDE, the flow designer itself. So here there are, if I click see more, you will see a lot of templates. So one of the easiest template is, hey, send a customized email when a new SharePoint list item has been added. This is the simplest one that I'll show first. Then, if based on the questions, if you have anything, I'll show some more additions to it. So I'm choosing this template. So it will jump onto the workflow IDE designer where we can start adding more steps or customize the existing steps. So this one, what exactly it does is, there is an action, there is something happened to SharePoint list, and the action is, trigger is an item is being added, and we are going to use SharePoint Office 365 users connection and Office 365 Outlook, two additional features to send the email to users. We can pick it up, like we can send email to creator, we can send email to approver, or we can send email to any other custom email ID that is within this tenant. So I'm just clicking create. I don't, being a citizen developer, I don't have to do anything else. All I did is I choose the template, Microsoft Flow. It comes up with all the steps that is required for it. So I don't have to do anything here. All it does is, this is the trigger. When a new item is
Is a online development IDE provided by Microsoft as part of your Office 365 subscription. It does not require additional licensing to build this workflow application. There are some limits on executions of workflows and total number. If there are licensing questions around how many flows can you build and how many tasks can you execute, let's take that offline. That's a much more in-depth and deeper discussion. I just want to let that lay that out there for the audience. And back to you, Chin. I just want, that question had come up earlier around licensing, so I was just addressing that.
Yeah, I do saw that. I saw many more questions. I'll address as and by go element session throughout the session. So this is what Akhil was stopped. This is the trigger on this particular site. You can choose it, and many sites you want. And this is the list. You can all see, all the lists available in it. If any action, what is the action is, the new item is created. Then I'm getting the profile who created it. This is where it comes up and initializes given name and email of the creator. So then I'm sending email to the creator. It also came up saying, new item added. And hey, this is the given name of the creator. New item added at this pre-populated data. We can definitely customize this by editing it as a HTML, or we can pick up the existing elements from here. You can pick up anything that the user current creator details, and also from the list you can also see title. It's sometimes it makes sense. New item has been added with a title. All you can do is click here and choose this title. Click it. So you can do some kind of colons or something. You can beautify it. You can also add more content around it or remove everything, and you can change it. And also, as I said, by default, this email goes to the creator. And if you want to change it to someone else like a approver or some other email ID within the organization, you can quickly see here what is the possible values here. Approver email, created by email, modified by email. So for this session, I'm picking up approver email. So anything happens if someone submits a request from one user, the approver definitely gets an email with this information. So let me quickly save this and submit some requests. Then you can see what happens and who receives the email. I also logged in as a user here. That is my HR manager. What I will do is from the first tenant where I logged in as myself, I'm quickly going to submit a request here through PowerApp. Then you can see what exactly happens. Let me run the PowerApp now. We can test PowerApp, what happens now. This is where we left off. We did not create a new request. So I'm quickly going here and submitting a day offer hackathon. So I'm picking up, I have a hackathon on 26th, oh sorry, start date on 26th, end date on 26th. So approver, I'm picking up HR manager, so that on the other browser, whether he receives email or not. So default is submitted. This is my contact number, some test reasons. All I need to be submit, and you can see that here in action. You can also debug it and see whether it sent the email or not. That also we have. I'll come back to that. I'll go here and to the different user, open his Outlook. This one was yesterday, I was testing it. You can ignore this one for now. As I told you, you can go and see it here before sending email. You can see it here, what happened, whether it did send email or not. And also you can check it step by step, whom did it send, what did it happen there. So given name and email, this is the requester, and it did send email to HR manager, and this is the new item. Do you see that the title that I filled in, and this is the body. This HR manager supposed to receive an email. This is where you can see it now. So that is how you can quickly build applications sending notifications or emails. So users can. From here on, there are a lot of steps that you can do. You can grab, responses like approver can approve from here itself, or you can provide a link to your application PowerApps here. And when the user clicks on that link, it can directly take to your PowerApps. That is a little more advanced for this topic here today. Otherwise, I would like to show you little more steps here. What else we can do here. I did get a email. I received an email. And as I was telling you, I do know, like some of my employees submitted a request. I got it, but I was not in front of my system. How do I get it to my cell phone where I logged in into my PowerApps? So that's where you can add additional steps like PowerApps notification. There are a lot of actions that we can do. Send mobile notification. You can send it to your cell phone. You can send it to your PowerApps. A lot of options are there.
And let's show them how to let's go through an entire flow where a end user submits a request and manager approves it or rejects it and it goes back. Let's go through that like we. I know you're going there. I'm just summarizing what we're going to show from a use case perspective.
Yeah, let me finish this
Sure.
steps here. So, from IT perspective, as I told earlier, so we also wanted to know, whether this workflow is successfully sent at it or not. So that's where, a lot of requests recent customers are asking, how do I know whether email failed to send or not? That's where you can add additional step, send email. Send email. Here is very important thing that you need to know. So you need to send email to your IT guy saying when it is failed. So if you need to add a step, send email step using your Outlook, then you can go here in the settings. This is more important. So Microsoft, under the settings, configure run after. What should happen after running it? So whether for a success should I send email, or for a failure I should send email. Most of the times we get a lot of questions. China, we definitely interested in getting email. What happens after it fails? So when you click here, you have an option here. When it fails, send an email. So this is the option that should be selected. That way, and also, let's say like I have a huge workflow is running. What happens if it is timed out or suspended for any other reason? So I also have option, when it's timed out, email should be sent to IT admin. Hey, this particular workflow has been failed. Go take a look at it. So that's how, because these services are running behind the scenes without user intervention based on some triggers. So it's very handy and helpful for IT administrators when if it is failed, or a support team or a help desk to get a notification or email saying, hey, this particular workflow has been suspended, go take a look at it. Or if it has been failed, go take a look at it. So these are the cool features recently Microsoft is keep adding to Microsoft Flow. Then you can put your IT help desk email, or even for this demo, I'm going to use HR Manager itself again for a sample, and you can customize your text here, and also you can put some customized HTML format. For that, you need to click here and write your HTML formatted text with hyperlinks or anything, help desk number or any phone number or anything of that sort. That way, the users are going to receive failure notifications, and immediately they contact that number or email ID, letting the developer team know, hey, this workflow has been failed. Please take a look at this immediately. These are the cool features that Microsoft recently has been added. Akhil, do you want to add anything here?
I do. I actually want to talk a little bit about dynamic content. I also would like you to cover a little bit about yes, the email can go out and then actions can take place and then further notifications can go out. So let's go through that use case that we talked about, yes. that an email goes out to the manager to approve a request. Yeah. He or she then approves it. Then it gets routed back to the employee, and we'll see that role play happen throughout the yes. Throughout the app. Let's do that.
Yeah, I'll do that. I'll develop that Power App, the Power Automate workflow from scratch, so that we can customize all that.
Exactly, and we can show the users how easy it is to do that.
So I'm not going to save this one. I'll go back here. Now, how we did like in Power Apps, building our own Power App from scratch. The same way here, I'm going to show you how do I choose, how do I develop my own Power Automate flow and pick up, what is the status based on the status. If it is submitted, send email to approver. If it is, once it is send email sent to approver, change the status to waiting for approval. And when it is waiting for approval, if the approver takes an action, then send email once it is approved or rejected, send based on the approval or rejection, send email to requester, hey, this has been rejected or this has been stayed. How does that flow happens? How does end-to-end flow happens, like based on the status? That's what I'm going to show here quickly. So all you need to do is, now I'm going to explain this idea a little bit. So this is what, if you log in, this my tenant belongs to, different tenant, different continent. Otherwise, you will see that flow.microsoft.com. Again, you can see environment, which environment you are working on. You need to be careful which environment you are going to work on. So if you click here, you will see all environment that you have in your tenant. So whichever relevant for you, make sure you switch to that environment here. Then you can see the flows, all the flows that you have access to, and your own it. And in this tab, you are going to see all the flows that your team developed and shared with you as a co-author. There are more to it. I'm not deep diving all these things. So as part of our interest, so I'm going to start from a blank template. So this is where you need to click create from a template. This is we have already seen that. I'm going to choose a vanilla blank template, automated process. Like if I'm going to choose my own site and I'm going to choose my own list. If anything happens on that particular list, automatically this workflow should be running it. So if that is a condition and use case that you are looking for, this is what it is, automated from blank workflow. So here I'm going to give my app in a day flow. So here, what is the trigger, that action that you need to have? So in this case, I'm going to, we already have seen when item created in SharePoint list what's supposed to happen. And this time, we are going to see create and modification of the status as well. For that reason, I'm going to choose create.
Before you click it and move, let's just quickly scroll down and show the users all the different types of actions. Yeah. Now, I know this has not been asked today, but it has been asked in the past that can I create a custom action? The short answer is yes, but again, not something that we are going to cover today. These are the default triggers that are available out of the box that when you start Power Automate and Flow. Quite a few if you keep when a file and we're not gonna exactly, there's like if you click on show more, you'll see that there's a whole list of different triggers that can happen, and you can even search for it in the search bar over there. And Microsoft is constantly adding more to these. I just want everybody to be aware of that. Thanks, Jenna.
Yeah, so in this demo, we are going to send notification to approve when it is created, as and when it is going on the statuses like approved or rejected. We also wanted to send email to requester, so what's happening around it. So this is the template that I'm picking up here. So let me create now. So here I choose the trigger, when an item is created or modified. So now here it gives me an option where exactly. So this is the list that I talked about. We have it in app in a day. Then as soon as I select that, don't worry if you don't find your list, you can copy paste, or you can by clicking here. If you choose this one, you can copy paste your custom URL. Microsoft by default, it shows to some extent, not all of it. If you have thousands of sites, so then you need to click custom value and copy paste your own value here. Otherwise, now I'm picking up Happy New Day. So in this site, what is the site collection? The list that I'm picking up is personal time off. If any item has been added or modified, I want to take an action on this. So there are more advanced options to filter. If you have more than so many lists of items, or you want to choose specific column wise, then you can customize. We are not deep diving into it, but otherwise, for the interest here, if any item is created or modified in this list, I want to send a notification to relevant users. So now, as we saw in our app first, as soon as a list item is been created, the default status of the item is submitted. That you can see it here. So now, if it is submitted, the email should going to go. Let me minimize this number. Going to go to approver. So I need to check that condition here. Otherwise, it's going to jump here and there. So I'm going to add a condition now. So you can search by default, it gives most relevant ones, or else you can search here like condition control condition here. So then it gives the structure. So you can check compare values, or you can add more rows if you have to check multiple conditions or. So here at this time, we are not adding more conditions. I'm going to check only one. That condition is, so when I click here, we need to check in the list the status field. If the status field is exactly the value of submitted, what should happen? If this condition is evaluates to true, there are many more conditions which are not talking here. If the condition, the status field value is submitted, I want to send an email to approver. So as soon as I send email to approver, to make sure next time, so next time if something happens to the same list or same item, I don't want to do the same email to approver. What I'll do is, as soon as I send email to approver, I go back to the list and update the status saying, hey, waiting for approval. That way, it's not going to trigger and send email again and again to the approver. First thing is add an action. If condition evaluates to true, I want to send email. Send email. So I'm going to take Office. There are many more templates. Be careful, which one you are picking. Otherwise, there are some premium ones that might charge you. So make sure Office 365 Outlook is selected. So here it gives you an option to send it to true. And there are more options, like you can also send attachments and some importance. Also, you can do it, and you can also CC to it, and you can also BCC to it. There are some kind of use cases, reminders. I have sent email to manager. If he did not react in next 2 days, send another email to him and CC to him next time. So all those use cases are a little bit advanced. Right now, I'm not discussing here. Otherwise, we can all do that. That's what I'm trying to explain here. So otherwise, we can pick it up, whoever is the approver dynamically from here. So the approver is approver email, and I want to send an email saying new PTO on your way. That is title. And I can put some content here. Again, I can choose some of the values from dynamically, and I can start writing here. Hey, approver, display name. It's a formal email. You have a PTO waiting for your what happens here is user will receive, the approver will receive a notification email, not notification email saying, so with this title, there is PTO is waiting for your approval. We can do many more, like with PowerApps. Recently, Microsoft added one more option. We can send notification to cell phone. On the notification, if I click directly, I can take to PowerApp, and PowerApp automatically filter based on the item that's been waiting for your approval. The notification item, specific item, we can automatically filter and show the data in display mode. All you can do is using your finger, you can just click approve or reject. But right now in this demo, that's going to be more technical. I'm not doing that. We can definitely do that. It's been out there, and Microsoft recently added that option a month ago. So we can definitely do that all. So for now, in this demo, I'm keeping it simple. How quickly you can bring it up. Importance, you can select it as high. Keep it high for now. So that is the first step that I wanted to do here. So what I'll do is I'll save this and go and submit. So since I removed that previous flow that I have developed, we must be able to see the new notification coming from this email, this the flow. So I'm going here, the Power App. I think we already opened it. This became a little bit ugly. Okay, yeah, that's okay. We'll go on and submit one more request here. Day after China. I'm changing a little bit different text so that I can see it. I'm choosing a different date now. So HR manager. So default, I'm keeping submitted. I'm leaving the text reason nothing. So I'm submitting this one here. We can, as I said earlier, we can definitely go here and look when it runs it, last runs. So as soon as the trigger fires it, you can see that successful run or failed or anything that you can see it here.
Let's pause here and talk about right there. Yeah, let me just quickly add a little bit of commentary on this. Mm-hmm. You have the ability over here to, if you look at the top menu bar, you have the ability to save this flow. You can do a save as, you can make a copy of it, you can make it submit it as a template, you can export it, and you can definitely get some analytics off of it. The other key thing to understand over here is that while Chenna has just connected this to Office 365 and Office 365 Outlook, you can always add additional connections, and one workflow can talk to multiple systems. Again, that's not in scope for our discussion today, as we're keeping this at the 100 level, but suffice it to say that you don't need to write 5 flows to do different things in different systems. The other key aspect of it is the ownership. So you right now, Chenna is logged in as himself. He's the only person who owns this. That means he's the only person who can edit this flow. This does not mean that other people cannot create flows on the same list, but they cannot modify this flow. So one of the best practices over here is to always, if you're going to have multiple people developing a flow, instead of them all creating their own flows, the idea is to have multiple owners, and you can easily edit and add somebody from your Active Directory in Azure, and then that person will have the ability to modify this flow on the list. And that's just a best practice, instead of everyone creating their own own flow. Back to you, Chenna. I just wanted to talk a little bit about this screen and make sure everybody understood that. Thank you.
Now, in continuation, I saw this is the email that it came to the HR manager logged in, and he received that, hey, Mr. HR manager, and you have a PTO waiting for your approval. So he did got notification. So when he goes into the system and here I'm opening in his mail in his application or in his browser with the same app in a day here. What happens now? You see it. So he can see on the home screen. I think it is still out there. I think it's not clumsy. Yeah, for the first time, it's going to ask for him. So it should show up on the bottom. Oh, yeah, it became a little bit clumsy. Okay, sorry about that. Otherwise, you can see it here. App in a Day Hackathon. You can go take a look at it. Now, this is where, what you can do now. This he got an email. He goes into edit mode, and he can, right now, I'm showing in plain edit. Or what we can do is we can check a condition. This data is owned by creator, not by the approver. When an approver comes here, we can definitely, what we can do is we can make these all fields, read only. So with that, we have to write condition for each of these elements to make visible, look like labels. Or for this example, I'm saying approved. Now, if I change it to approved and click save, what is going to happen in our workflow? That condition has not been handled. So what happens here is when it comes here, definitely this is going to trigger because we are considering when it is created or modified. But here what happens, the status is not equal to submit because it changed to approved. So this condition evaluates to false. That means it jumps in here. There is nothing that handled here. Now I'm going to take another email workflow. Send email. Now, before even doing that, what if it is not approved? What if it is rejected? Definitely we need to check that condition here again one more time. As and when, if you know how many statuses, how many conditions or how many values that status can have, definitely we need to handle every single condition. Otherwise, this workflow is going to jump in whichever way it can. So now I'm going to add one more condition here. I'm going to check if the status is I'm losing my voice, sorry about that. If the status is rejected. So definitely I have to send email notification to requester saying, hey, your request has been rejected. Send email. So this case, I have to send email to created by user. So you can automatically pick up. Usually it's supposed to come up as soon as you click here. It's supposed to pop up. If it doesn't, all you need to do is click here in. Then you can choose created by. Then you can say, and title. So that a user, as soon as he gets email, he will see subject as rejected. Hey, requester. So you can see all that information here, created by, display name, request has been rejected. Okay, I'm just keeping it simple. And what else? What other statuses it can be? If it can be submitted, or it can be rejected, or it can be approved. If these are the statuses that it can go through, by default, if it is evaluating to no, we know that it is submitted. If it is approved. So all blindly, what I'll do is send email to requester. I can definitely check, again one more condition here saying is it really approved or some other value or hold. So I can definitely do here status is equal to approved. Then I can send email to requester one more time. Outlook. Send an email. Quickly created by title created by display name. Your PTO has been approved. Let's say if any other value there, if you still want to handle that, if any other value there, send a blind email to everyone saying creator and everyone, hey, this bin status, something else been kept it there. Send Outlook, send email, send everything, everyone, like including creator, created by, and approver saying, hey, you have a different value there. PTO request. Date. PTO request. I'll keep title consistent. Your PTO request has been I'm not telling what status it is, just letting him know you have an update, nothing approved or something. I'm saving it here. Now you will see the full the workflow fully in action. So I'll go back here to the ugly browser, ugly screen one more time, and I'll submit one more request. Where is it? It will open out here. So I'll submit one more. Day of final test. So I'll choose a 19 and I'll choose 21. I'll submit this and see first email coming to manager. We'll give a second to it. As I said, definitely we can go look here in the run history if it is already ran or not. Okay, what is it failed for? Condition. Oh, null. Let me take a look one more time. Two cannot be empty. Bad request. Subject we have. Okay, I think let me check in our list. I think I missed approver name. Yeah, there you go. Approver has been missing. So let me submit one more. Definitely, we can make this one as mandatory. We can do a custom validation before we submit it. Anything can be done. 28th and 29th, submitting HR manager, submitted. So if this is the best example that I was talking about. If we definitely had a failure condition at the bottom, then we should have another email saying, hey, your workflow is failed, broken. So since we did not have that step, it's not helpful. Otherwise, that's where the IT administrator will definitely helpful. We can immediately contact the IT support team and ask them to take a look at it. IT support team will take a look at it and send requester saying, hey, you forgot to choose your manager. That's the reason your request failed. Can you go and edit it? Then it can reinitiate back. So now I got the email. So being an HR, I'll go here. I'll go here and it's a clumsy screen. We have, sorry about that again. Where is my request? Let me refresh it. So where is the final test? Another test. This is where it is. So I'll go edit more and say approved. So this status has been changed. Now definitely, requester is supposed to receive an email. Let me open his Outlook. When was it? Wednesday. This was I was testing yesterday. I'll keep that cleaned up. Otherwise, definitely again we can take a look at this. This was the second time that it was success. Now we'll wait. Email. I got some email. So if I go here, which is this? Yeah, this is the one. What happened? Which one popped up? Where did it go? No, sorry. Yes. Okay, we send approved email to HR manager. So that was a wrong step that we did there. Otherwise, HR manager got email saying, hey, it's been approved by you. So definitely there is a wrong step we have in our workflow. If you go take a look at it, you're supposed to receive it. When it is rejected, it will go to created by. When it is approved, it's supposed to go created by. That means it went to, where did it go? Approved email, created by. Oh, did I create? Okay, there is some condition, modified, it picked up the modified condition. That's the reason it came in here. Otherwise, we can rectify that condition, send it to approver.
So let's do this. Let's actually create it just for the approver and send it there. Let's do that.
Yeah, we did got it. Saying,
okay.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely there is a condition fail. Otherwise, we can send it to whichever user we can.
Can you show the statistics on the actual running of the flow, which we were showing earlier to them as well?
Statistics, Akhil?
The run, if you click on the, go back to the main, yeah. So there, yeah, that's exactly right. So I just wanted them to see that
how data flowed.
Yeah, so all of these are there, and when it ran and how it ran and what happened.
Yeah.
So guys, essentially you have a full history of the execution of the workflow. That's what I was trying to communicate.
Yeah. So you can definitely see it here. So first condition, what we had was submitted. It was false, evaluated to false because it was not submitted. So because the requester, the approver has approved it, then we had a second condition. If it is rejected, it's supposed to go here. It was not the case, and we had a third condition. It's saying if it is approved, send email to requester. I think I created a request from a different account. That's the reason, it's going to HR manager. Otherwise, it's supposed to be created by the original user. Yeah, my original created by was, I think, HR manager or something. So now you can see if it is approved, it goes in here. If I put something else value, it's supposed to come in here. You can see that, green color, which step it is flowing. You can track it and see. These are the good steps for IT developers to see how it is going and which content it picked and where it is picking up, how it is flowing here.
Exactly, and as I was trying to point out that if you have complex workflows that might be calling different other flows or might be connecting to a Azure function or an Azure method or running scripts, and you need historical information, this is where you can actually click in and get that information, and you can see how the whole thing comes together.
Yeah, you can see how many times it broke, what was the condition it broke. You can
Correct.
anytime you can go click there and what was that day, that condition, data, everything can be seen it here.
Correct. And as sorry, it's okay. Go ahead.
No, that's all. You want to add something here? I want to go back.
I wanted to show them how easy it is to troubleshoot. So click on that again.
Yeah.
And the error details, it will tell you exactly what happened. So if something broke, it will tell you where it broke. Parameter cannot be perfect. Yep. So if you've forgotten to do something and it didn't run, you can come and debug it here very simply. You don't need to you don't need to guess why it failed or what troubleshoot it by submitting the 20 times and testing it. I mean, it's good to test things, but the failure cause can be and it's pretty well documented and diagnostic.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I want to add more steps. The next question you might think of is, hey, this particular data was a business critical data. It's supposed to happen that day and it has to calculate that day. Now, after 10 days, we figured out this particular request to our processing was broken. Now I need to fix this. We fixed in the backend with this data. Now it has to process again. What do I need to do? You don't have to worry about. You don't have to go back to 10 days and do all the reinvestigation or resubmit the data. All you need to do is you have a good option here. You can come back and once you know that you have corrected the data in the background and you know that it has been correct, you can resubmit the same request here. And that whatever processing supposed to, the logic or anything that's supposed to happen, that can rehappen on the same data that it's supposed to happen. You don't have to worry about, how do I do it now? How do I fix it now? Just come back here and resubmit it. It will go and go process and fix it. That easy it is.
Okay.
You want to add any more here?
I'm good.
I'm good. Okay, thanks. So this is the, like this, you can write any number of, and also there might be questions around, we had lately seen many questions. Hey, I want to trigger after completing, already Akhil explained, you can write any number of logics, any number of conditions. If you believe this workflow is becoming clumsy and it cannot be managed going forward, you can break it down to multiple workflows. You can trigger after completing this workflow, you can trigger another workflow. Like that, you can track it down how many workflows are completing also and which workflow stopped, where we stopped. You can break it down and trigger other workflows. It can be done in multiple workflows. I have seen one of the workflow I have to develop for 7 pages workflow it was. So we break down into 5 of them and made it simpler. Then we handled it nicely. So we can break it down workflows also. You don't have to write few hundred steps in one workflow. Any questions or anything to add so we can jump back to our deck?
I think one thing I would like to, can you go back to the home screen again?
Which one? Workflows?
Yeah, my flows. Yeah.
Okay.
Let me just, these are workflows that you have individually deployed. Can you talk a little bit about team flows and business process flows and UI flows? Let's cover those as well at a very high level.
Okay. So these are the flows that I am owner and author, originally created it. Let's say if someone else developed in my team and they have given me access, I can see all these team flows here. Or if I share my flows with some other developers, they can see in their team flows here. So business process flows, this is a little bit around CDS or any other workflows. Let's say, I have a CDS data or Microsoft Dynamics data that I am processing process flows, business process flows like HR. Like the data, it's a long steps it will have, like onboarding. When an employee joins into a company and there are sequence of steps that is supposed to happen based on the process. It's not like, workflow, it's based on the process. So let's say today I joined it and there are 7 or 8 steps supposed to happen. Then as and when it completes, it's going to activate and it's going to process it. They're also like a workflows, but they're more towards, guys,
for example, within your organizations, you might have different departments that manage processes in a non-automated manner. They might be a classic example that I give all the time, and this is true in every organization, is employee onboarding and offboarding. There is a process associated with it, right? You have to collect certain information from the employee. You then have to issue them a laptop. In the old days, when we were pre-COVID days, we were all working in offices. They have to be assigned a office space. Then they have to have all their other assets assigned to them, like a badge or access codes to different systems. So you might have multiple departments executing these kinds of process flows. When it is a full-blown business process automation piece that might span multiple departments, that might span multiple systems, it's always good to come and first of all, it's always good to collect your requirements specifically for that business process, and then it's good to come and create a business process flow. Is it possible, Chinna, that we can just click on one of the ones that you have over there, just to show them the pick one that you would like to, you think is a good example?
These are just my practice purpose. I created.
Sure.
They may not work as.
No, we're not gonna test them. I just want to show them the actual flow that you have created.
I believe there is no data.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just wanted to make that point, and let's you can close it then. Yeah. Then let's actually move on to UI flows.
Yeah, okay. You can
go ahead and click create a UI flow, and click on Power. Yep, there you go. And give it a name. I think you already have it.
No, I don't have it.
Okay, sorry, I didn't mean to. So essentially, guys, what it does is it allows you to create a flow using the Power Automate. This is a brand new feature from Microsoft. This was just released. As Chinna was clicking on it, you notice that it said it's in preview mode. What it does is it actually allows you to create the flow in the Power Automate desktop app, and it has a browser extension to it, and you can click and drag different actions as and when they take place. Yeah. So that's just at a very high level of what that does. We can close out of here. That's fine. Yeah. Excellent. One last thing, if you can click on the home button, please, at the on the left. Yep. You also have over here, ladies and gentlemen, the ability to consume workflows from a template. Microsoft has written a lot of templates, so you don't have to create something from scratch. There are commonly used workflows. There are multi-step flows, approval requests, adding conditions, all those kinds of different workflows that exist over there. If you click on email template, for example, at the second menu bar from the start from a template. No, not here. Up, one more up. Yep. Right there, email. Yep. So these are the different types of email workflows that are already built, and you can inherit from these and customize them to your needs, so that you're not starting everything from scratch every time you're starting your development. The other thing, as we talked about earlier, was that you can export the flow that you're creating to another flow and use it to recreate a different flow. So you're not starting, if the approval process is very similar, you don't have to go and now create it again for another list and start from scratch. If you've written it, you can import it in and use it from there. One more important point here is that if you are developing on multiple tenants and you are connecting to multiple tenants, you have the ability to export the flow. If you go to My Flows again, on the left, you have the ability to export the flow by clicking on it and send, and there you go. And then you can import it into your IDE on a different tenant, so that you are again not recreating things from scratch. This prevents the earlier question on if I build something in my dev site collection, how do I move it into production? This is one of the sub processes on how to do that. You basically export it, import it into the new site collection, and deploy it to the new list. We're not going to go through how to do that. That's a very simple process. We can definitely address it in a more advanced setting in a class if we conduct that. I just want to brought
up that point, Akhil, I'll add to you.
Yes,
so
please.
Basically, this is a very good question for many customers. Let's say you have 4 or 5 workflows created in one environment from different tenants. How do I take in one bundle and move it to a different environment? So here Microsoft had given another option. You can click on solutions, create your own solution. It's like a placeholder. So you can add all your, create a sample solution in this environment, or else I can go to existing solution and show you. All it does here, give you an option is you can, how many workflows or anything that you are creating, workflows or apps or that you are creating, you can put everything in one solution, export that solution and import that solution into a different tenant or a different environment.
Different environment. So even from one site collection to a different site collection within the same tenant. Yep. So this is how you move things between dev, QA, prod. To answer that earlier question, when it comes to moving flows, and similarly, you do the same thing with the Canvas apps that we showed you in the morning session.
Yep. And since we have more time, I'll add more things to here, Akhil, so that we can cover a lot more.
We have about just for everyone's sake, we have about 10 minutes more. I think let's try to wrap it up by 1:30 so that we can open up for questions and hand it back to Peter at that point for further discussion.
So lately, there was a few questions for my customers that they asked me. So now we are developing some of the components in development, different tenant. We wanted to test those apps, how they are going to work with our real data in production environment. How do I do that without, having all the production data imported into a new tenant, a separate tenant that is on development? What we can do is we can quickly create new environment, new test environments here, different environments. Right now I have only one. We can have more environments created here so that we can point to the same data and test it. That is one more option. Again, they are segregated. They are not going to interfere with the different environment. All it gives flexible option is we can connect to the production data like a segregated isolation environment, so that all production users will not see those workflows are already out there, or apps or anything out there. So we can bifurcate and test with the production data and see where it is breaking or how it is performing or doing anything else before actually even moving into production. That is another cool feature that Microsoft has given here. Definitely it tied to your license. So not all licenses are like E3, E5, or everything will not. It's not an option for everything, but definitely you need to have a good licensing option. That way you can create multiple environments here within your tenant and work with the live data and see how your app is, the flow or app or anything performing correct or not before moving to the your production environment. That is basically governance item. And also you can put a lot of restrictions. Hey, if it is this environment, you cannot use these connectors. If it is this environment, you cannot use this data. Like that, there are governance items that you can play with here.
We are moving. Yeah, we're moving into more advanced features. I think let's not go there. Can you click on connectors quickly? I just want to show the people very quickly the ability for Flow to connect to multiple. So these are some of the popular connectors as you saw, but Microsoft is constantly adding these. Last count I had was around 275, but it invariably changes almost on a daily basis. So if you scroll further down, you will see that there was a question that was asked. Just pause there for a second. Oh, a little up. Little lower. I'm trying to find the SQL Server. There it is. So there is a SQL Server connector, which is a premium connector that allows you to connect to SQL Server and execute, for example, a stored procedure over there to perform an action. You can certainly do that. If you click on it, it will of course allow it allows you to therefore then build. When an item is created, when an item is modified, and then you can tie that to actions within that. It says so right there on the second one. Execute a SQL stored procedure on a PowerApps button click, for example. You can execute that. You can update tables. You can take data from the form in PowerApps and perform all types of CRUD operations inside a database. You can retrieve a data set from a SQL Server and provide that to your end users to perform actions. Again, at a very high level, in the old days, you would actually have to, you could not use designer workflows to connect to backend systems. This is a great improvement from those older legacy-based applications that were very limited to what they could do and so forth. These are actions and things that you can do today. As I said, Microsoft is constantly adding events and so forth. the scope of our call is not to cover all of those things, but the idea is to make you aware that this can be done. If you're going to ask me anything around licensing, I'm going to defer to our sales guys and sales directors and VPs who are on the call, who can talk to you more about Microsoft licensing. The technical people are not the right people to talk about that. Anything else that we need to cover, Chinna?
No, we are good. We gave a lot more options and information for our community.
Let's go back to our deck. I think that's about it. Let's go back to our deck. Perfect. Peter, are you there?
I sure am.
Perfect. So we're a little early. I think we covered a lot. We went through, we were expecting more questions, which apparently everybody thinks that this is so easy. I guess we made it very easy. We'd like to hand it back to you at this point. I think and give you and open the forum up for questions as well, if there are any questions, or let you handle the next steps.
Sure, appreciate it. And thanks, Akil and Chinna, for running through this information. I know that we've covered a tremendous amount, and appreciate you guys kind of going a little off the cuff here. I think everybody really appreciated being able to dig in and really understand that information. I will open it up if you guys do have additional questions. I know that everybody's been kind of keying them into the into the chat as well. But if there are any other last-minute questions that you guys would like to get addressed, don't hesitate to ask. As Akil mentioned, we are more than happy to talk with you guys on the licensing aspect of it. To say that it's something that's very straightforward and easy, I think is really an understatement. If anybody's ever dealt with Microsoft licensing, you understand that there's quite a bit of complexities that come along with that, depending on how you're licensing it, what levels of programs that you're on. So would really want to dig in and understand everybody's kind of a one by one mention or kind of a situation before we did move things forward. Just a couple of things to look at from a next steps. If you guys kind of dug into this and said, wow, this is really great, really want to understand how we would apply this to our organization, we are willing to kind of sit down with you guys and really dig in to what types of business situations you are looking to solve. So again, as we look at it here, we are offering you guys a free 1 to 2 hour kind of analysis session. We will walk in with our teams, kind of understand what you guys are leveraging today from a legacy system, from an info pass side of things, or just areas within the business that you are really looking to automate today. We've talked about some onboarding and offboarding, some PTO requests. There's lots and lots of different things that PowerApps can be leveraged with in a coordination with Power Automate to go across a whole line of applications that are out there as well. You'll also see is that we have some, we're also offering you guys a POC. So again, this is really more along the lines of going in and getting hands-on. So this one does have, some costs associated to it, but really what would it allow us to do is to understand, a handful of business cases that you guys are looking to do and have folks like, Akil and Chinna or other members of our team come in and help you guys build that app. So something that would be built that you guys could kind of try out and really see how we could do this as well. So really wanted to kind of throw a couple different options that that you could see out there. Questions that you guys have or levels of interest. You see that we've got Alan's contact information out there. Alan will be able to kind of get it out to the right folks on our side, just to make sure that we are getting you guys taken care of. As I mentioned, we're also going to be sending out this recording. There are access to free trials and things like that are out there. So if you wanted to be able to kind of walk step by step with Chinna, kind of what he was doing, developing that in your own environment in a trial basis, those are out there and available as well to give you guys some other ability and some other resources to be able to dig in. I'm not seeing any other questions that are coming back in. If that is the case, we'll give you guys kind of 30 minutes back in your day, which I'm sure that we can all use. But definitely appreciate everybody taking the time, kind of listening to the power and benefits that the applications of PowerApps and Power Automate could have for your organization. So with that, again, reach out to Alan if you guys do have any other questions, and we all appreciate your time. Thanks, everybody, and have a wonderful day.